Sometimes we can hear all of these negative connotation words like, oh, you're bossy, or oh, you talk too much, or oh, you're goofy, or oh, you're annoying, or all of these things. But when you begin to flip that, instead of looking at yourself as bossy, you look at yourself, oh, I'm just a leader. And I didn't know how to convey that in a healthy way. I didn't know how to show that in any other way other than the fact that I was born to lead. Hey, to all of my aspiring visionary friends, welcome to the Becoming That Visionary series. I am Demaya Unique. For those who do not know, I am the one that pushes you to your purpose. And listen, a lot of people look at me and they look at me as an inspiration. They look at me and say, you know, I want to become confident. I want to walk in my purpose. I want to do what God is calling me to do. I want to be used by God. But the thing is, I have never fully in-depth shared my story and shared where I've been through and been to and all of those things and everything that I honestly encountered along my journey. Because listen, I think I've seen a quote before. It says the people don't know the cost of the anointing that's on your life. They don't know what you had to go through basically to be where you are. And so I am here to go a lot deeper than when I did, or what I did for my launch video. I kind of shared a little poem, if you will, when I did launch, and I just kind of shared, you know, where I've been and what I've been through and different things like that. So in this video, or part one of the series, I am going to be talking about my journey. And I'm going to show y'all all the little behind the scenes, okay, of my life. So first and foremost, I am Demaya Unique. I was born September 28th, 2000. Okay, so put some respect on our name. My husband loves to just put up this whole little game because he was born 1999. Like, boy, you had 1 year. 1 year, and 2000 babies experience a lot of what 1999 and 1998 babies experience. Okay, we only missed a little bit. But anywho, I am a sister of 13. I am a big sister of 13. So I am the oldest out of all of my parents' children. And honestly, I've had to be the trailblazer. I've had to be the pioneer. I've had to be the first person to get married, the first person to go to college, and all of these things. And honestly, it's been a difficult journey, not gonna hold you, because I didn't have, you know, that mentor, that big sister or big brother to look up to and say, hey, like, what should I look out for? What should I not do? What does this look like? But I am super grateful for my mom and my grandmother and so many other people that have poured into me and have invested into me to be here. But most of all, God. So starting off, first of all, with my name, my mom, God had to be speaking to my mama when I was born, because Demaya Unique literally is my name. And I am just so grateful for that name, because I believe that that explains who I am. I am literally so unique, so creative, so different, and I've just seen God show me that along my journey throughout life, okay? So today we're going to, of course, be diving more in depth into my story, where I've been, and all of those things, talking about my childhood experiences from elementary school to college, all right? So buckle on in, get your seatbelts, get your tea, your coffee, your popcorn, because we going in, all right? We going in. So the first question that I'm going to be going over how were you as a child? What was your personality like? So this question I asked myself was because a lot of the times we like to throw away our past and treat it as baggage, because we like, I was hurt too much, I was traumatized, like, I don't even want to go and look back over that. But I am here to say, first and foremost, that the devil, he loves, when I say loves, he loves to make you look at your past and only see the negative. I mean, think about it. That's life, period. He wants you to look at life and only see the negative parts of life. The negative, only the negative. And so looking at your childhood, looking at your past, he wants you to only see the bad parts. But there were so many good parts about it, right? So for me, I had to ask this question so that you can know, and you can also get to know me a little bit more. So first of all, as a child, I was very vibrant. I had so much personality. I was very loud, as y'all could probably hear. I am loud like this, period. I talk at this volume all the time. I don't even have to talk louder. I don't need a microphone, because honestly, to be quite frank, we played around with these microphones way too much today to record these videos, and they still didn't work. So how you're hearing me is because we had a little technical issue, but we're gonna get this video done. That's all that matter, okay? So again, I was vibrant, I had a lot of personality, I was loud, but I was also creative. I was very bossy, according to all of my friends and all the people that were in my childhood or my elementary school. I was very bossy, always trying to tell somebody what to do. I was very entrepreneurial. So I had candy stores, y'all. Like, I had candy stores. We literally had a candy store in a wagon. We would go around to the pools with our pop-up shop candy store. I also had like a duct tape business, which it doesn't sound how it doesn't look how or hear how it sound, whatever. But basically, it was like I would make like wallets, purses, and different things like that out of duct tape. But it wasn't just the plain Jane gray duct tape. It was literally the duct tape that it had like patterns and different things like that. So it was in that phase of the silly bands and all of that. And I literally had a whole business selling and making all of those different things. And so I just had a lot of businesses growing up. So I was very entrepreneurial. The next thing, I was a writer. I would write books. I would write songs. I would just write a whole lot. And so that was also a way that where my personality was like growing up. And then lastly, I was a visionary. I would see a lot of things that I would become in life. And I would be like, okay, I have a vision for this. Like growing up, I literally could always see myself as this entrepreneur, this boss, and I would have this clipboard and I would have my high heels on. Mind you, to this day, I can still not walk. And I mean, I cannot still walk in heels correctly. And I just kind of been like, I'm just going, we ain't gonna wear heels, okay? We just not gonna wear them. So I've always been able to see myself as this and knowing that I would do something big, not exactly knowing what it was or all the details for it, but I knew that it was going to be something big. So that's kind of how I was as a child. And I literally challenge you, y'all know I like to give y'all homework. I literally challenge you to go back and sit down and really evaluate and assess, how was I as a child? What were some things that I really love to do? Like for me, I love to teach. Mind you, today, one of my gifts is teaching. And I literally love to teach. I would pull my my whiteboard out, my little brother, my cousins, all of them, they were my students, and we would go to town. Okay, what's 2 + 2? All right? And I was literally that type of person. And it's crazy because sometimes we can hear all of these negative connotation words like, oh, you're bossy, or oh, you talk too much, or oh, you're goofy, or oh, you're annoying, or all of these things. But when you begin to flip that, instead of looking at yourself as bossy, you look at yourself, oh, I'm just a leader. And I didn't know how to convey that in a healthy way. I didn't know how to show that in any other way other than the fact that I was born to lead. You know what I'm saying? And then also, like, for example, looking at yourself as talkative. I have the gift of gab, okay? There's something God wants to use my voice and he don't want to silence me. You know what I'm saying? So be looking at yourself from in a positive light instead of always looking at it from a negative light or in a negative perspective. And so I challenge you again to make sure that you take the time to evaluate, how was I as a child? What was my personality like? Because what we don't realize is that as we grow, or as we grew in life, then that's when traumatic things begin to come. The enemy begin to pervert and begin to try to change and deter us from what we were originally created for. Because when we were children, we were in our most innocent state. And so again, that's what I really challenge y'all to do, is to go back and evaluate how you were as a child.
Hello, friends. So y'all know I had to take a brief intermission, right, to give y'all the tea of what's coming up. We got a whole 3-day virtual summit, Becoming That Visionary, coming up August 10th, August 11th, and August 12th at 7 p.m. EST. Okay, so day 1, we are going to be covering how a lack of identity affects you, your mental health, your confidence, your worth, your esteem, and why it's so important, so much that it really should have been the first thing that we learned before we went to kindergarten. Okay, day 2, we are learning how to use your past and pain for purpose. We are no longer looking at our past as baggage, okay? We know, and we should know, that God has been speaking our entire lives, okay? Day 3, we are learning how to change our lives by identifying God's vision for you. Listen, your whole life can change. The whole direction of your life, whole course of your life can change by identifying what God has to say concerning your life. Okay, so make sure that y'all click the link in my bio and y'all go and register for this summit. Listen, it is going to be great. It's going to be impactful, and I am super excited. See you soon.
The next question that we're going to dive into was, what were some things that you experienced in your childhood? So listen, for me, what I've experienced in my childhood, I grew up in a single parent household, and I was with my mom. And with that being said, my mom was someone who dealt with epilepsy. And so that affected, of course, like her being able to work, her being able to drive and different things like that. And I honestly believe that is when God began to plant the gift of creativity in me, because when you don't have a lot, and when, don't get me wrong, we had everything we need and honestly everything we wanted. However, what I'm saying is, when you really don't grow up with everything handed to you, then that's when you are able to basically create something from nothing. And that is what creativity is, being able to birth something from scratch. And, it wasn't done before. And so that is when, and also me being a big sister of 13 and really not understanding which direction or what I was doing in life. And so I did experience having a single parent home, which, as you know, God created it for it to be two parents in the household. And so you know what that brings. And so also I dealt with comparison and desiring others' lives. Honestly, I was not consistent with my own life, or content, not consistent. I was not content with my own life. I did not like who I was. And I constantly found myself looking in someone else's lane and like, oh, like, I want what they have. I want, whatever their lifestyle looks, not knowing what they were eating behind the scenes or what they were enduring or experiencing behind the scenes. However, I really desired their life so much that I didn't realize what God had birthed in myself. And so that is something that I dealt heavily with, and I really felt like I wasn't gifted. And so I began with what comparison does actually, is when your eyes is so much on somebody else, that's what you become. That's what you begin to do. And so what I found myself doing is walking in somebody else's gift, trying to songwrite, trying to sing, trying to get into choirs, when in all reality, that was a distraction from what I was really put on the earth to do, right? So after all of that, I also experienced not knowing who I was. I literally remember bawling my eyes out on the floor, crying out, because I felt like I had been replaced and I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't even know why I was here. Like, I didn't know why I was here. And I think, and we are going to talk about, you're going to hear an interview with Armani, and just talking about how, you're not content with the life that you have been given. And so you're so caught up on feeling like, because you're in that moment, like you have a relationship with God, God, but you don't know how to do life with God. You don't know what it looks like that, okay, God, I know you're good, but like my life where it's at, like, I don't know how you're going to use this. And in that moment, it felt like, bro, like, what am I supposed to be doing here? Like, and even though you have given me hope for the future, what am I supposed to be doing now? And that's kind of how I felt in that moment. So I felt like I was defined by my story. I felt like I was defined by the fact that I had no father that I could go to and ask different questions. And I didn't have, someone that I could talk to. And I didn't have, all of these things. So I felt like I was defined by my story. And that's what affected not knowing who I was, if that makes sense. So again, I felt like I was defined by where I came from, and that honestly didn't leave me with much hope. So now moving forward into my elementary school, Roberts Academy. Honestly, I'm kind of shook. I'm kind of shook. When we were driving past, and you'll see it here, we were driving past these different places. It honestly struck so many memories in my heart and in my mind about, like, what transpired during those times. So again, Roberts Academy was where I went to school, and I was an A+ student. And math and reading were like my favorite subjects. Like, I remember like having so many awards and different things like that with my going to school, and we would have like all of these different awards ceremonies and different things like that. And I just remember like really loving school, really loving being there. However, growing up in elementary school, like that is when I began to battle with being a leader, being smart and carrying myself in a good way, but also being broken and like also like not knowing how to handle this brokenness, not knowing how to handle this pain. And I believe when I started going to Roberts Academy, I lived in this house on Saddam, or on Saddam, but it was like a little neighborhood called Saddamsville. And I was living there at the time, and I just remember experiencing so much anxiety and different things like that from like the environment that we were in, and just experiencing that. Honestly, I felt like that's kind of what caused me to begin to act out in school, and I began to deal with so much anger, so much resentment, and like feeling, you know, anxious and jittery and all of these things from the environment that I was in. And so I believe that is what affected me in elementary school, and I began to act out. Like I literally remember, I believe it was like 4th grade, y'all. Mind you, I was only like 4 inches. However, I was literally a bully, like y'all, a whole bully. And then on top of that, like I was fighting all the time. Like I was just angry. And I even know like my relationship with my little brother, because I only lived with one of my siblings, or only lived with one of my siblings, because my mom only had one other child other than me. And living, like I would be so mad and so mean to him. Like I promise y'all, I'd be like, if I could go back, I'd do it all over. But like I know that it was all for a purpose, and I know that God is still going to work that for good. But I know like in that moment, in those moments, in those times, I was so angry because I had all of this brokenness, all of this pain. But as a child, I didn't know how to deal with that. And so again, I was battling with being a leader and wanting to do right, but also dealing with brokenness and pain. So I was fighting and all of those things. Also, elementary school and middle school was the time that I dealt with just teachers, because I was so talkative, I was goofy and all of those things. Like I had teachers being used by the enemy, honestly, to plant seeds and lies into my head that I would never be anything. And honestly, I think that was something else that the enemy used to cause me to be an overachiever. Not only did I not feel good enough, but then I felt like I would never make it. I felt like there was so many people that were preying on my downfall. No, really. Like I really felt like that's how it was. Like people were expecting me to fail because I had a single mom, because I was the stereotype of, oh, she doesn't have, you know, a parent or another parent to help her and guide her through life. So I just felt this weight that people literally were banking on me to fail. And so dealing with that, as well as hearing, you know, Satan kind of speaking these lies from every angle. If it wasn't my household, it was my teachers. You know what I'm saying? And so just dealing with a lot of that until I met God. I dealt with people pleasing, I dealt with bullying, fighting, and then literally in 4th grade, I met God. And when I tell you that this was like the most transformative time in my life when I encountered God. Like I encountered God at 4th grade, and I promise y'all, like when I cried out to him that very first time, I was like, I cried out to him with everything in my being, like because it was so much. And it's crazy because we don't sometimes realize it in our society, but that the fact that children and young people can encounter and go through so much at a young age, and they honestly don't know how to process it. If adults don't know how to process it, kids really don't know how to process it. And so I am a huge believer, like when you see a child acting out and they're doing different things, a lot of the times it's alerting to you. I am a firm believer that your behavior is symptoms to what's going on in your heart. And so when you see children or even spouses or friends and you see their behavior, you have to instantly begin to intercede for their hearts and what's going on the inside where you cannot see, because those are symptoms. It's revealing things. It's revealing things that they are struggling with. And so that's what I saw when I looked back on my life and the things that I was doing and bullying and people pleasing and overachieving and all of these things. I realized there was so much going on the inside of me that I need to be healed from. And it was when I encountered God in 4th grade. But in 4th grade is when I encountered God, but I didn't begin to see transformation fully and sanctification and consecration, which means being set apart and being, you know, pulled and like setting that distinction. I didn't see that until 6th grade, which when I was beginning to go into middle school. And And that's when I began to hear the voice of God clearly and what he wanted to do for me. And it was crazy. I was just listening to a song on Monday, and it was talking about, like, you know, your yes to God, it requires a sacrifice, elevation, and going higher in God, going higher in life. It requires sacrifice, and it requires of you. You know what I'm saying? And so I began to see that going into 6th grade. And so going into middle school, I was still at Roberts Academy, and I was trying to learn, honestly, how to be set apart. How to be set apart and go against culture, which can be very difficult because it's uncommon. Like living and going to a public school where what's common is to do what everybody else is doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And we had this, I had this little term that I used to use, trendsetter. Okay, I was the trendsetter, or I was setting trends, because what I seen around was I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. I didn't want to live how everyone else was living. And so then I learned how to be a trendsetter. And I honestly believe it equipped me to go into high school, because high school is much worse than middle school because you're becoming a young adult. So going into high school, honestly, I finally began embracing who I was. Was I perfect? No, because I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of things I got caught up in, because of course there's peer pressure, there's distractions, and all of those things in high school. But I began to learn how to be intentional with my life. I began to learn what relationship with God looks like, and not just going through the motions. And most of all, I learned how to be used by God and how to let my life speak for Christ, and not necessarily my mouth being open and always saying Jesus, 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 and shoving it down people's throats. This was also the first time that I was used by God to teach my first Bible study, and it was also the time that I was asked to speak to young kids who had lost their parents. And so there was so much that I gained from high school, and so much that I've experienced in high school. Now moving on to college. College was an experience. So much that I gained in college. By this time, I think we had moved from Sedamsville. So we only moved about 4 times. So by this time, we were living in Price Hill still. And we were living in a new house, which I was so grateful for. And my mom had changed the environment. We had came back to church and all of those good things, which were great. This was, of course, before college, but kind of catching us up. So now coming to college, how did I know? My question that I had down is, how did you know which path to take as far as college? So going into college, of course, we're adults now. We're 18, and we are able to speak for ourselves. We're able to make choices for ourselves. So how did I know, like, to go into the marketing field, business, and all of those good things? So honestly, starting out in college, I always knew that I was going to be this woman in heels with this clipboard and different things like that. I then began to really learn what it meant to do life with God, to do college with God, to do my career with God, and different things like that. Because going into college, I fell in love with marketing because of the gift of creativity. I was able to be creative with that major. However, I added finance, and this is even touching down into people pleasing again, because I added finance simply because I was like, well, I'm black, I'm a woman, finance makes a whole lot of money. So I was going for the wrong motives. And this is where I learned alignment. And I learned alignment is key for your life, because I was going for finance and all of these things, but in all reality, it wasn't in alignment with who God created me to be. It wasn't in alignment with what my purpose was. It wasn't in alignment with what my passions were. It wasn't in alignment with what I was put on the earth to solve. The gap that I was called to bridge, the finance major was not a part of that. And people don't think that it's that serious, but it really is. Because why invest into something that it wasn't meant for you to do in the first place? When God created you and formed you in your mother's womb, he never said for Demaya, I predestined you to be a finance major. I predestined you to be a financial planner. That was never in the will for my life. And so in that time, I began to learn how to submit to the will of God. I began to learn how to avail myself to God and say yes to his will, yes to his way. Why? Why is that important? Because his will is what's best. And if I want to live the best life, if I want to live my best life, if I want to live and do what's best for me, I chose to say yes to him. And saying yes to him opened up so many doors. Because listen, I'm married now. Wasn't expected to be married in college, y'all. My sophomore year of college, got married. Wasn't expecting that. But it was a part of where God was calling me to. It was a part of breaking generational curses that God opened my eyes to. And so it was just so much. When you say yes to God, it's also accepting the unexpected. Because this, again, was unexpected. It was unplanned. I was, my plan was go to college, get my degree, then get married. But that was not God's plan. And so again, going back to the finance major, God led me to drop that. Why? Because then when he began to reveal what he was doing, he showed me this is out of alignment, or it's unaligned. This is not something that you are called to do, or you're supposed to do, or is going to be in the plan or in the works. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that we won't be multifaceted, because I believe purpose is multifaceted. I believe that you are purposed to be a wife. You're purposed to be a mother. You're purposed to be an entrepreneur. You're purposed to be a minister. You're purposed to do multiple things. But my purpose was not to be a financial planner. And so I began to have to let go and to pivot and change according to the will of God. And so, again, when I looked over my life overall, my life has not been traditional. And this is crazy because someone spoke this over my life. My life has not been traditional, honestly. My life has been so unconventional, but I'm grateful today. I'm grateful for everything that I've endured, everything that I've experienced, everything that I've encountered, because I would not be the woman that I am here today. One, because of the grace of God, but also because of what I experienced. Because what my story is not who I am. I am Demaya Unique. I am a child of the Most High God. I am loved. I am smart. I am creative. I am not my story. That's just what I had to go through. That's what I had to go through to make me who I am. And I chose to no longer look at my past as, oh, this is negative. This is just baggage. I didn't look at my past like that anymore. I looked at my past and said, this good came from it. This came from it. I am this because of it. I am strong because of it. I have this mentality because of it. I know how to work hard because of it. I know how to get things done because of it. You know what I'm saying? I am creative because of it. I found my Father in heaven because of it. You know what I'm saying? So I encourage you to begin to embrace where you come from, because that is what I am here to do today. I am here to say I am Demaya Unique, and I am a product of the Most High God, and I choose no longer to hide who I am. Why? Because you wouldn't get delivered. Why? Because you wouldn't get set free. Why? Because you wouldn't be able to embrace your story if I keep trying to hide myself and hide under a bush. I am here to push you to your purpose. I am here to push you to elevation. And I pray that this whole little video, my whole little journey, has sparked some encouragement. I hope you leave this inspired, honestly, to begin to put in the work and to begin to reach out and reach your full potential and honestly walk in your true identity. So I pray that this has been a blessing to you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.